Shadypenguinn. That's a name that hasn't come up in years. I honestly didn't know if he was like a regular YouTuber anymore, but of course, the YouTube algorithm serves me some wolf glick slop and Shadypenguinn is involved. So, whenever I just like do content or sprinkle throughout my content, it always comes up that I don't believe there's any good Poketubers out there. They're all bad actors, they all lie, cheat, and or steal, and they have no care for anything but the money. And then something like this pops up, and that just confirms it. And then a lot of people start, like, bringing up the list, like, oh, but what about this Poketuber, and what about that Poketuber? But you don't even have to, like, go that far into it to be like, yeah, they're just bad people. So now, after 10 years, I'm playing VGC because of Wolf Glick from Shadypenguinn, and I'm just like, yeah, my theory is confirmed, that there's no good Poketubers. Shadypenguinn is choosing the bag instead of being against lying, cheating, and stealing. It's also crazy that Shady will never condemn ginning and cheating inside of Pokemon, despite being a caster for the Pokemon Company, and also getting back into VGC. Just, like, really showing, like, oh, he isn't a good person. Cool. No honest influencers with morality in the Pokemon community at all. And that was further confirmed because looking at what Shady's been up to recently, he made an update video a little over a week ago, which is good for me to just kind of figure out what's going on with him. And now we can actually see he's just chosen to work with two of the most awful people in the Pokemon community. Wolf Glick just being incredibly evil, and then aDrive with Elastrals being a really bad person. So let's see what's going on here.
Is that I was made an offer to join a company as part owner. And I accepted that offer, and the company is Elastrals. If you guys don't know, they've been sponsored. They sponsored us a couple times on the channel. We've also streamed Elastrals a couple.
So yeah, like Shadypenguinn, apparently he's just been giga selling out over the years to especially work with aDrive. Now I need to be careful about how I phrase this from a potential legal standpoint because of my experience with aDrive, where he stole my content to try to over-promote me in the algorithm and get more attention on a breaking news story to end our friendship after being a hypocrite for several years, where he initially called out TyrantarTube during the Pokemon Sun and Moon era for covering clearly fake leaks and clickbaiting fake Pokemon information, but then aDrive started doing it, making tens of thousands of dollars. Would not be surprised if aDrive's actually made 6 figures off of just Pokemon leak videos, and then just went, oh, I'm sorry about anything I might have said about you in the past, TyrantarTube. So, complete hypocrite sellout. Which is why when I see something like Elastrals, especially going off the Kickstarter, which I broke down many years ago, it's nothing more to me than a cash grab that targets children, leveraging aDrive's audience of mostly children from his popularity playing a children's game. So I feel there's no integrity involved. There's actually, like, nothing real here. And before Copa cracked down on YouTubers targeting children, that's what aDrive was doing. His description, his tags, family-friendly, kid-friendly, no swearing, because he was targeting the YouTube kids audience. He was making content for children, and then he had to change all of that because that's not allowed. Which is why, in my opinion, it looks like Elastrals was made to exploit the young audience that Dan deliberately targeted to grow on YouTube. This is not a genuine effort to make a creature collector that captures the spirit of Pokemon. This is just trying to take advantage of children through all, like, the TCG craze and all these other card games and things that are coming up to make as much profit on the way out as he can. So choosing to work with one of the slimiest people in the Pokemon community is something that I also struggle with, on top of working with one of the most evil people in the Pokemon community with Wolf Glick. And go back to aDrive, it's not like any of this is hidden or secret. Yeah, I guess knowing the lore that aDrive stole my content to end our friendship is a little bit more obscure and harder to find, especially because he tried to bury me inside of the story to get more attention in the algorithm. All you have to do is go onto his channel to immediately see how fake this person is. Oh, new evolution. No, playing a ROM hack does not mean we have a new Pokemon evolution. And then before the Elestral stuff, there's points where over 90% of aDrive's content is just lies and fake leaks, and after he's missed over 99% of his leak and rumor coverage, it's impossible to think he isn't willfully covering fake information for the attention. So he has no morals, he has no integrity, and then he launches something to try to extract as much money out of children as possible. Cool. And Wolf Glick's entire life is lying, cheating, and stealing, so choosing to work with that because you're going to make more money, because you're going to get a lot of views back and a ton of attention from it, means you're not a good person. So that's why I'm just kind of surprised by all of this.
Well, the most exposure I've had in VGC was over a decade ago when I was casting official Pokemon events during the 2014-2015 circuits. Yes, I'm old, and more importantly, wildly ill-equipped to be competing in any sort of VGC scene. But when a world champion asks if you'll join their VGC draft league, how do you say no? But let's back up. VGC.
How do you say no? You say no by having morals and integrity. Again, something that no other Poketuber has in this community because they only care about the views and the attention. If you look into anything Wolf has ever done, it's really obvious because we have full shiny teams with legendary Pokemon and hidden power in Generation 5. RNG manipulation confirmed by the Pokemon Company to be against the rules because it cannot exist without hacking to reverse engineer the game functions. It's not just a clock. It's impossible to just use a clock to get the perfect shiny legendary Pokemon. You need an unauthorized third-party program that's banned by the Pokemon Company. So those Pokemon are illegal. That's already sketchy. And it just kind of gets worse and worse the more you go back through Wolf Glick. That's like, oh, impossible Dream Ball Raichu. You didn't follow that? Okay, what about the Raichu he won Worlds with? A different Raichu, but also a hacked Raichu because, wait a second, it's just perfect legendaries and perfect event Pokemon with inhuman odds. Then there's videos of him lying about Pokemon legality. We also have multiple threads showing the multiple hack teams he used during the Pokemon Sword and Shield era. He also made this tweet where he was looking to commission hacks. He has videos where he commissions hackers to hack check teams for him so he doesn't get caught cheating anymore. And then there's also his video about the 2023 Pokemon World Championships. So it's impossible to avoid unless you want to willfully be ignorant of Wolf Glick being a career-long cheater. And that's before we get into Wolf Glick praising a self-admitted abuser in the Pokemon community who has also said, I'm ashamed to admit I'm an abuser. No matter how much I improve myself, no matter how much good I think I do, I will always know I am an abuser. They cannot get over their sickness of manipulating others, and Wolf Glick's response to their Twitlonger admitting to abusing others is, I'm really proud of you. So I'll have the Google Doc in the description that Max Waterman made, how VGC's biggest player protected an abuser, Jake Magier, but Shadypenguinn has been in his own drama because of Nappy, so you would think these things are more important to Shady than money, but clearly not. So I recorded reacting to what Shady had to say about the whole Nappy situation, but I feel like it started leaving what this video is about. I just kind of wanted to show like, okay, after all that Shady has been through, what is he up to? Oh, just being a bad actor with everyone else, which makes it hard for me to trust that there's anyone with morality or any good influencer in the Pokemon community, regardless of how Shady has acted or behaved. The thing about Shady is that he has an incredible PR game. He's all about appearances and being business first, but I consider that really fake, even when he does a lot of these updates, and it seems like he's being really personal, but then like the actions behind all of that don't really line up. Or to keep up appearances, he never takes enough action to do the right thing and be genuine. It always goes back to, well, I need to keep this career going, so I'm not going to do the right thing. So instead of doing the right thing, he just maintains his business relationships, which probably has something to do with the Nappy situation. He says like, oh, if I knew about this... Actually, yeah, I will show that part.
It just was what it was. So then everything happened with Nappy, right? Big stuff, really serious stuff that should not be taken lightly. And this is where I'm going to talk a little bit about things where I'm going to be very careful with what I say. And it's not because I have anything to hide. It's because I don't think that everyone is privy to all this information. I don't think that's how it should be. On a side note, I'm going to get this out of the way. I shared information to a friend that I was straightforward, I was honest, and I was trying to give them some sort of peace because they were feeling anxious. And that information got run to, I don't know how many different people. I know at least one different person who then put it in a video. And I don't appreciate that. And that permanently burned me from opening up to people online, for sure, friend or not. When it comes to being straightforward and honest from now on, I think I'm just going to say, I don't think you have the right to know that because I don't know if it's going to stay with you. And that sucks. That's a really hard thing to deal with on my end. Backtrack a little bit. Everything happens. The community obviously gets torn into a million pieces, and it's pretty much 99 versus 1. Nappy was probably my best online friend, I would say, despite not coming to my wedding. Obviously, he was a business partner as well, not like on paper, but we were planning on starting a Soul Link channel where we were going to Soul Link other games. And my whole career got turned upside down because of something that I had no idea was going on. You guys kind of know me, and you know what? You'll have to take me on my word for this. If I was privy to any of that information, I would never have hitched my wagon to that horse. Literally, like, I have thousands and thousands of dollars came from a series that will never be again. I spent years building up a brand of Soul Link with someone that is forever gone, and that is the reality. I had to deal with that. That was a very dark time for me back then, and it's not something I could share, right? Because that is not important during that moment.
What an odd thing to say. So actually, yeah, I guess I'm just remaking the segment, and maybe I can say things a little better than initially, because, like, that was, like, a weird tone shift, and then he made it about the money, and that just comes off as very weird to me. But you can see, like, how he's just, like, trying to be really, like, yo, of course if I knew something was going on. However, I think the business relationship and also chasing the bag made it harder to see what was going on, because Callum came out, so I can understand not knowing about the other person that Nappy was grooming, but, like, if Callum was involved with all this, no one thought anything weird was going on between anyone, and Callum never, like, brought up anything or any concerns or any behavior to anyone, and then I guess everyone just overlooked it because money and views were going way too wild, and it took, like, some other story breaking where it's like, oh, now it's unavoidable with Nappy. Like, this is who Nappy is as a person. And it wasn't just, like, a weird YouTuber relationship that evolved. Now he actually just, like, grooms people. And that's why I brought up the Wolf story, that, like, if these things matter to Shady, then why is it just like, yeah, but Wolf's got the fattest sub count in the community, so I'll work with a cheater who also is praised and abuser and has all kinds of other controversies around him in that regard inside the VGC community, because he is evil and does all of these things to maintain his status in the Pokemon community, no matter how many other people Wolf has to destroy and how many other people he has to harm. That's why I call his lying, cheating, and stealing evil. This is deliberate, malicious behavior from Wolf, but everyone in the Pokemon community works with him still because you're just going to get more views and praise, and you've got that audience. If you say, like, oh, cheating is wrong, well, then now you're going to take that hit, and no one wants to take that hit, even people that have been through something crazy like Shady. That's kind of why I'm making this video. So before I ramble on anymore, I think we'll just wrap it up there. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.